Hey y'all, it's Amy from See Amy Draw. I am here with something a little bit newer than what I'm used to doing. We're going to do some doodles together today. I did a live stream for Patreon, no, not Patreon, sorry, for Taste Made last week, and I had so much fun. If you joined my live stream, thank you so much. So I thought I'd do another doodle. This time we're doing beach themes because it is summertime and it's kind of the vibe. So I'm going to start off by doing this palm tree. I start with just kind of this S curve to indicate like the sand where the tree is actually going to come out of. And then I'm going to sketch in the trunk, which are just two parallel lines that kind of taper. They taper, it gets wider as you go out towards the bottom. And then I'm going to sketch in our little coconuts here. I decided to have a little fun with it, and if you'll notice, it's a little hidden Mickey because what's more fun than that? So I thought it was a good opportunity. Anyhow, I'm going to go in and just kind of darken up the lines. For this palm tree, I will say I struggled the most, but that's okay. Right now I'm just mapping out where the leaves are going to be. If you can't see the pencil lines very much, don't worry. I'm going to go over everything with my Tombow Fudenosuke hard tip brush pen. So you'll be able to see them when I do that. So I'm just mapping out the lines, making this thing look like a giant spider, essentially. But as I drew this palm tree, I realized that it'd be easier for me to map out where the leaves or kind of the skeleton of the leaves were going to be rather than just try to freely draw it all in. So I'm just going to draw in the top part of the leaf, which are just two straight lines. I do keep the lines a little bit more curved. And as you're drawing, I realize these little nooks here, because these are, as you go in the leaf, you can notice from my reference that they are like a triangle shape, whereas the base of them is more of like a rectangle shape. That's where I struggled the most because my brain wants to draw either two triangles or two rectangles, and that's not what it is. So I do have the triangles pointing inward, back towards the leaf. I use my eraser a lot. If you're curious about the tools that I'm using, I do have everything linked on Amazon if you want to pick up any of these items, but obviously you don't have to. You can draw on anything. This is just what I prefer to use. I like to use a color pencil when I do like my initial sketches. I just think it's more fun. But these are the Coloraze color pencils. I'll link everything in the description, but you can just use a regular pencil. I just like using these ones. So I'm going to go in, do the top of the leaves. And one thing you want to avoid too when you're drawing leaves or petals or anything like that is avoid them all looking too much the same. I guess not necessarily with petals, but with these leaves, you want them to have some variation. So drawing some that are a little bit wider and some a little bit skinnier kind of helps it make it look more realistic and natural. We're not obviously going for like a realistic effect here. These are just little doodles that would be fun to do in a memory journal or like a planner spread if you want to draw your own illustrations. I think these would be super cute for like a June or July if you were planning to go to the beach, or in a bullet journal too. So yeah, just try to keep everything really loose, really fun, and finish drawing in all of these palm tree leaves. I do go back and I'm just darkening in the lines I like more because there's a lot of lines here and I don't necessarily always erase all of my lines, so I just go back and darken in the ones that I like so that when I go back over everything with my marker, I know where to go. And because my palm trees on this one are a little bit more spaced out, I'm going to add a couple more just to fill in some gaps, some little tiny ones, still going along with the same pattern and shape, and then darkening in the lines that I want to keep. I love this little hidden Mickey. I can't unsee it. If you add a little hidden Mickey, if you draw this palm tree, please let me know. I want to see it. It's so cute. And then I'm just going to add in some curves for the trunk here and darken in the lines for the sand. Now I'm going to go over this with my Tombow Fudenosuke hard tip pen. There are two different types of these pens. One has a dark blue body like this one. This is the hard tip. It just means that the tip is a little bit stiffer than the other one, which is a soft tip. With a harder tip, you're just able to get a better control on your line work. So I always recommend these. If you're familiar with like the lettering community, then you know about these pens. If you don't, definitely check them out. I love them. I wish when I started lettering I used these ones first, but I didn't, and I struggled a lot because I was using a tip that was much bigger, harder to control, and I swear by these. So I'm just going to go in and add all of the lines that I liked, starting with the bigger leaves, because I can always change the smaller ones if I want, since that's all still just in pencil. So if you joined my Taste Made live stream, I appreciate you joining me for that. I hope y'all had fun. I know I had a really good time, so much so that I was like, oh my gosh, I want to do this again. I just had a blast. It was like sitting in my little office nook area, hanging out with friends. I had a blast, and I had a few of my patrons ask if I do tutorials. I call them tutorials. They are tutorials of doodles. So I usually do them as like a downloadable sheet that you can like print off or just reference on your phone or whatever you're looking at Patreon on. And a lot requested for like videos, so I hope y'all like this. This is for y'all. If you're joining me from Patreon, I super support it. I've been on Patreon since about January, and if you've been with me since January, I really appreciate it because I've been learning a lot. I actually had a whole plan for Patreon when I first launched. I was like, oh, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And it's really been just this like evolution. So I try to pay attention as much as I can to what my Patreons are looking for. I thought it was going to be more like planner content. It's mostly doodles. So I really appreciate it because it gets me practicing and drawing a lot more. So it's been fun. Now I'm going to do this little sandcastle. It's so cute. I love how this turned out. So I just start with these two lines and then kind of add a curved line there at the bottom. I do tend to keep my lines a little bit more curved, a lot more rounded, because it just gives it that more like kawaii, like cute feel. And then I'm going to add, I don't know what you call this pattern, but the rook, that makes me think of chess, but they're basically just little like rectangles that go in a pattern where you have one up and then one in, and you'll see that a lot in this. I'm going to add a little arch right here just for a little door for our sandcastle, and then about a third of the way down I'm going to do that same pattern again. I do love how this little sandcastle turned out. I am not very good at making a sandcastle. I can do the ones where, the bucket is shaped like a sandcastle. That's about as far as that talent goes for me. But I can definitely doodle one for y'all. So I'm going to add the top of the sandcastle here, which is these two lines that are kind of turned into each other. I go back and erase a lot. So y'all, if you have an eraser, if you don't, get one. And if you do, rely on it. So don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's what it's there for. It's meant to be used, so use it. And I'm going to do this same little rook pattern. If there's an actual name for this, let me know in the comments. I would appreciate knowing. And then in here, I'm just going to add another half circle with a line at the bottom to indicate like a window. And now for the top part of our sandcastle, it's going to be just one big rounded triangle or ovally shape. and then a flag for our sandcastle. So I'm just going to do 2 parallel lines that is closed off at the bottom with a circle at the top. And then for this flag, it's super simple. It's just one little S curve shape that's like elongated. Think about an S that's been stretched out. And then underneath it, it's the same shape. So just mirror that and then have them kind of meet at the top there. And now I'm just going to go back over this with my marker. I pick up my pen a lot, and I think it's because when I letter, I pick up my pen pretty much a ton. But yeah, when I do that, you don't always line up where it's going to meet, or you don't always line up the lines very well, or I know I don't. So I just leave a little gap. I think it makes it look a little bit more like doodly to me. It's just a preference, I think. But if you're not into it, obviously you can close off your lines. But it's just what I prefer to do. Now I'm just going to add in all the little details. One thing I do try to do, and I know when I draw like little doodles in my Hobonichi cousin, I will go over the outline of the doodle a little bit thicker, just because I like how it helps it like pop off the page and just looks more fun. But I'm going to use the very tip of this pen to shade in these little doors and window areas, and then just add a couple little specks to indicate the texture of the sand. I think these little details are just what makes it look so cute and so fun. But yeah, I tend to go over, outline everything, but because this video is already like 30 minutes, I didn't want to make it too much longer. So we're going to draw in some swimsuits, and we're going to do one that is trunks, was what I'm starting with. So I start with a very thin oval, and then 2 lines that come down, and then this curved line matches the bottom line from the oval. Okay, and I will say this, as I'm going back and seeing this, I realize I did this little like zipper cover thing, and I should have drawn like drawstrings. But yeah, you can draw drawstrings, or you can draw this little zipper cover. Either way, they're still little swim trunks, and I'm going to keep with the same stripe pattern because I thought stripes are very beachy, and so I think polka dots would have been really cute, but we're going to stick with what we got here. Now I'm going to go in and draw our little bikini or 2-piece, again with the same oval shape, and then 2 lines coming down, and then 1 to match coming just to connect those 2 lines that came down. And then for the bottom part, I'm just going to draw 2 lines coming down and then 2 curves, and then join them at the bottom. It's super simple when you're doodling, just breaking down these shapes. Like you'll notice the top of this swimsuit is 2 just essentially like rounded triangles, and then I'm going to do these little rounded rectangles for the straps, and I'm going to join those in the middle with a strap. I decided to go back and do like a flatter line at the bottom, making it the top a little bit bigger. You can make it bigger, you can make it smaller. If you were to do the top and the bottoms and just kind of like connect them with the line, then you essentially have yourself a 1-piece, but it's whatever your preference is. This is just the one that I went with. That was super cute. I add 2 little lines to indicate the back of the straps, and now I'm just going to go in and sketch in my stripes. And we are done with, what is this? Our, I guess, 3rd and 4th little doodles on this sheet. So I'm just going to go back over all of these lines with my brush pen. And honestly, if you want to learn how to doodle, I've had people tell me like, oh, but I don't have this, I don't have that. But you know, really you can draw with anything, as long as you're having fun and just learning. That's all that really matters here. I did this original sketch with a gel pen, just because that's what I had on hand. You don't have to have a certain type of paper or pen or pencil even to learn how to draw. You just have to start. And I think the biggest lesson in all of these, or the one thing I stress the most, is when you're doodling, is that, every every little doodle is just a combination of shapes you're probably super familiar with. So just learning how to see everything and understanding what shapes are being used and how they're all kind of laid out and combined, that's really all there is to it, and just practicing. I know I make it sound easier than it actually is, I feel like, but I hope I'm breaking down these doodles enough for y'all. So I'm going to just add my little stripes for my top here. And then I go in, and again, very lightly with the tip of the pen, I will color in all of these little stripes. I don't necessarily, as you can see, I'm not coloring it in fully. I do like a hatching pattern because I like having the white kind of peek out. I think it helps break it up, and it just looks more hand-drawn and doodly and fun. So yeah, we're just going to color this in. And we are done with this one. I love the stripes on this. Again, I just feel like stripes are very beachy and just so cute. Anyhow, I'm going to go in, and the next one we're going to do, these next few are pretty simple. So we're going to draw the sand bucket to go with our sandcastle. I have 2 lines that taper in and just are rounded off there at the bottom. And then I keep the lid, or the top part of this bucket, very rounded because I want it to give it that rounded look and feel. I'm going to add a little rounded rectangle here for a handle, and then 2 curved lines that come down just to finish it off and connect it to the actual bucket. For the top part here, I'm going to draw some sand, so they're just like little lumps of sand in there. And then now for the handle, just 2 parallel lines, a rounded rectangle, and another one inside. I'm laughing because if you join my live stream, or if you go back and watch the replay, which I will link in the description, I say rounded rectangle about 1,000 times. Someone laughed and was like, you could have made this a drinking game. And I was like, LOL. Yes, but we would have all not walked away from that. It's just because that's what it is, for the most part. When you're breaking down these shapes again, it's a bunch of rounded rectangles, or a lot of rounded rectangles, because I like to keep things more curved, softer edges and whatnot. So I'm just going to go in and do all the line work for this little bucket. It turned out so cute, and it's so easy to draw. I hope you're finding this. I hope I'm making it more, it's just easier, or doodling more accessible, because it totally is. Anyone can do this. And then we're going to just do the handle, and there it is. It's all done. Super simple, super cute, adding just a couple little specks to give the sand some texture, and coloring in the handle. And we're ready to move on to our next little dude here, which this is where I struggle a little bit mapping out what space I have left. I started drawing the beach ball, and then I quickly abandoned that idea because I wanted to draw in this little summer beach hat. This is another one where I feel like I struggled a little bit, but that's what it's all about, right? Learning. And I guess you learn the most when you're struggling. But anyways, I start with kind of like this ovally shaped curve at the top, and then I do this S-shaped pattern to draw in the brim of the hat, wanting it to be super floppy and super big and exaggerated, because it's a beach hat and they are big and floppy. This is one that I should have used a reference and I did not, but that's okay. We're just going to go with it. I draw in these two curved lines to indicate like a band for the hat. And right now I'm just going in and darkening in the lines I like the most because I struggled a little bit. Again, relying on that eraser because that's what it's there for, to erase things. And it's okay to make mistakes, but I'm just going to go ahead and darken in those lines so that when I go back over this with my pen, I know what lines I want to keep. And there is that. I will say another thing about when you're drawing little illustrations or little doodles, I mentioned like exaggerating the brim of this hat. When you find little unique parts of a certain, whatever your subject is, exaggerating them and making it more than what it actually is actually what makes it look more, I guess, cartoony or doodly. So that's what we did here with this little beach hat. I kind of wish I drew the top of it a little bit more, but I have my draft. You can reference that too. I think I would just get worried about the space. So now I'm going to draw this little seashell, which is super simple, super fun. So it's just a curve for the top, and then I kind of curve in and round out the corners as they come in. Add these little rounded triangles there on the sides to indicate the size of the seashell. And then going along with the curve, I add these little detail lines. And because it's super simple, I'm going to go ahead and draw the little beach ball, which is just a circle and an oval close towards where you want the beach ball to point, and then some curved lines. So I know most beach balls have those like that kind of like pattern, and it kind of helps emphasize the curve of the ball. And yeah, so I'm just going to go back over all of these lines with my pen here. And there you have it. It's probably, this beach ball is like literally the easiest thing on this entire page to draw. Once you break it down and see how it's done, man, it makes sense. But this is where I like struggle with myself, thinking whether or not I wanted to color in like different sections of the beach ball. But I eventually decide not to and just leave it as it is. If you do color it in, it'd be fun to color in like the yellow, or if you do yellows and blues and reds, but just kind of in a pattern would be super cute. So now I'm going to draw this little pineapple drink, and I'm going to preface this by saying that I did not leave myself enough space to do this one, but that's okay. We're going to go with it. I really just want you to see how it's broken down and how I drew it. So I decided to do this as like a little pineapple, fun, beachy type cocktail. So I'm just drawing in the leaves, or what would be the leaves of the pineapple. This is another one I did not use a reference that I probably should have, but that's okay. So I'm just kind of darkening in the sides here. For the leaves at the bottom, they're just basically oval shapes that point in. I have the two on the left pointing towards the left and the two on the bottom pointing towards the right. Two on the right. Oh my goodness. Anyways, yeah, just keeping them varied in shape, kind of like what we did with the palm tree again. And now I'm just going to add a little drink umbrella, because what is a little fun summery cocktail drink without a cute little umbrella? And now I'm going to just draw in the lines to indicate there is something fun in here. For these little stars, like I said, I wish I used a reference for this pineapple. I did not. I kind of wanted to mimic like the, I don't know what you call them on the pineapple. Y'all know what I'm talking about if you've ever seen a pineapple. If they have a name, let me know. Yeah, so I just do these kind of like curved shapes and kind of go in like a star-like pattern until they eventually meet again. So that's really all there is to it. Like I said, I wish I'd have made this or just had more space to draw this little pineapple drink. Please use my reference to the side, because I think that one turned out much better. So I'm just going to add a little bendy straw here. And that is it. For the umbrella, I just do like this little triangle shape, and then the bottom of the umbrella is just basically little curves, and then I draw in the top, which is a rounded rectangle, and some lines for detail, and then the little kind of ends of the umbrella there at the bottom. For the straw, it's just this oval shape and two parallel lines, and where it bends, you kind of do this little squiggly pattern to indicate that it is a bendy straw. And now I'm just going to go back in and add in the rest of the line work here. Like I said, if you are drawing something you're not too familiar with what you're drawing, use a reference, whether it is a real life reference or something else. Photos on Pinterest work really, really well, just because what you're looking for is just the, foundations of whatever you're drawing. Don't get caught up in all of the nitty-gritty details. Just kind of look for those basic shapes and to give you the overall, I don't know, essence of what it is, I guess. But that's really all doodling is just figuring out the shapes that are in in whatever your subject is, and focusing more so on those rather than getting all the details right. Don't get caught up in making sure the proportions are super accurate, because just have fun with it. I did have a bit of a gap here, so I'm going to go in and just draw in a smaller little seashell, because that one was super easy to do. And then just go ahead and do the line work for this. I really love how this all came together, but I will say I feel like I like my original, the first one I did, a little bit better, but I hope everything is being broken down really easy for y'all. This one is super easy too. This is just a cooler, because what is a day at the beach without a cooler full of ice and your favorite drinks? So I start with just this rounded rectangle shape. The top part is closed off a little bit, I guess, sharper than the bottom corners, because I'm going to draw on this lid. And yeah, there it is. I realize here that I drew the handle wrong on the original. The handle should be coming from the base of the cooler and not from the lid of the cooler, because if you were to pick it up and it was not closed, oh, you're going to just have a terrible day. But anyhow, I'm just going to draw two curved lines there on the sides to indicate our little handle, and then just darken in the lines that I like. And I add in this little ovally shape to leave a space for, writing in a title or a name. I just write cold because that's about as creative as I was able to get, I guess, at this point. So yeah, I'm going to keep all of these corners super soft, super round to give it that kawaii, cute look. Draw in my handle here, and then the top part of my lid, and then I write in cold. It works. But there we go. We are almost done. We have 2 more doodles left. These are, I hope I'm saying this right, Monstera Leaves? Monstera Leaves. If I'm saying it wrong, let me know. But yeah, I start off with this triangle shape, and here I'm going to sketch out the overall shape of the leaf. So I kind of know, I can rely on that shape as I'm drawing in my leaves and breaking it up a little bit more. So here I'm just going to draw in the different sections of the leaf, kind of doing these little nooks in here. I love how these leaves look. Yeah, I'm definitely not a plant lady, because I don't fare well with plants, but I love these. I draw in some little wobbly circles and ovals to indicate the holes in these leaves. I think of all summer doodles and things, these are my favorite patterns, or favorite like plants that are included in like summer doodles. And I'm doing this one from memory, so if it's not as accurate, I apologize. I think it turned out pretty cute. So, and that's what we're going for. So just going back over all the lines here a little bit more lightly with my pen. And then we have a little bit more space, so I'm going to squeeze in one more leaf here at the top. So it's going to be a little bit skinnier, but again, doing this like triangle shape and mapping out where I want my leaf to kind of be. I've tried drawing these and like not doing this big shape first that I essentially just follow along with. And it did not turn out as cute, so we're going to stick with that. Making the different areas of the leaf kind of vary in shape too and in size helps with that like fun, more doodly look. And then just going over everything with my marker again. I want to go ahead and say, if you enjoyed this video, I super appreciate it if you like and subscribe to my channel. I will definitely be doing more little tutorials like this. If you're joining me from Patreon, thank you so much. Y'all are the ones that gave me the idea and the motivation to really do more of these type tutorials rather than just doing the digital ones. But I had so much fun. I hope y'all did too. My next video, we are going to do some food dudes. I'm going to do it with my almost 11-year-old. So hope y'all join me for that. In the meantime, have a great day. Bye. Thanks, y'all.